And then I would just probably go back to OBS at this point. That's where I typically live.
Well, yeah, if I'm going to be hitting these Jimbos.
Yeah. All right. I'm checking the live stream. A temporary hello from me. If we are live.
Less than 1 week.
We are live. I'm gonna listen to the audio.
This guy's become a Siege player over here.
Who?
Sanders.
Really?
Yeah, I've been playing a little bit on my laptop.
That's weird.
Well, my Xbox is at home. Oh, sorry.
On your laptop.
Yeah, I play my laptop.
What are you getting frames per second?
I don't know. I don't care that much. I don't play actual people because actual people are scary. I typically just play bots.
You play bot?
I play the AI.
You played probably like
Crazy.
3 hours total,
I've
right?
played 3
The
hours.
AI are honestly better than the real people.
And the frustrating thing about playing with the real people is like they're all sweats.
Mm-hmm.
And I am
That's how PC is.
correct. Well, yeah, but it's open servers, so it's mixed. I think maybe not.
That's usually not how that works.
Maybe that's not it. Could be mistaken.
They just,
I know you
they
can do-
just made it open, and about 10 to 15% of console players play on PC. But for
Yeah.
the most part, it is all PC.
Yeah, I mean maybe
They are
I might
sweats.
get it on my Xbox when I bring that back up from home. But I'm also trying to get better at just like M&K stuff because I feel like there's a higher ceiling there,
Oh, 100%.
which like I will never reach that, but I would still like to be at least competent with that. So I've played some
Good luck.
CS:GO mouse and keyboard,
Mhm.
not very good, and now I'm playing a little bit of Siege mouse and keyboard, not very good.
Yeah.
It's fun though.
Jacob Hadfield was telling Abby that he watches like almost like 3 hours a day of some Siege creator on YouTube.
Wow.
So I still don't know who that is yet.
Did she
but
not ask her name, or she just forget?
She did. She just forgot to ask.
Okay.
Dang.
And it's kind of a big deal because if it's like Jinxie, that's kind of weird for a guy who's about to be a dad that he
Yeah.
watches 3 hours of Jinxie a day. But if it's like your boy Roy or someone, it'd be like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Fair.
Have you texted him?
I haven't texted it. I have. I need
Text
to
him right
text
now.
him
Let's find out
back.
in the show. Let's find out in the show.
Well, I have to answer him about potentially living with somebody, but
Okay.
I can.
You can do both.
I can just I
Yeah.
can just do
Two birds,
Siege.
one stone.
Yeah. Oh, okay. What's up, guys? We are live. I think I'm gonna double check it.
We have.
I mean, we are live.
I haven't got
0
a
viewers,
notification
so-
yet, so
Oh well.
Well, we have one viewer, but I'm assuming it was you when you looked.
Yeah, it's me.
we're live.
The biggest news is we've dropped 0 frames since changing the Wi-Fi. How we use the Wi-Fi. We are no longer connected to Sanders' phone hotspot. We're using the campus, which is apparently 5 times better
Than
according
my
to Sanders.
hotspot. Yeah.
Why didn't we do that from the beginning?
Because my phone when I plug my phone into my computer, it automatically picks that up as a hotspot, and I've just never bothered to change it.
Should have changed that from the beginning.
Well, now we
No
know.
reason to burn your hotspot.
Oh, I don't care. I have unlimited data or whatever.
Yeah, but
I think the thought was campus Wi-Fi so bad,
Correct.
but
and
it's still a lot
I don't
better
think
than
it
phone.
is that bad.
I disagree.
I mean,
disagree.
during the summer, maybe not.
I've played Siege on campus Wi-Fi
It all depends on
in
where
the
you are.
library.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
I
to,
lost Wi-Fi
to our no
cost.
viewers, I'm about to leave. I've been on campus since 10 a.m. It is 5 p.m. I have to go back to Duty Noble to continue setting up for the Brian O'Connor welcome event.
True.
If you are in Starkville, come. If you're not in Starkville, drive to Starkville. It's gonna be sick. It's actually
30 people there.
I would be surprised.
20? You're saying taking the under?
It better be full or like
It doesn't work.
it doesn't work, and it's like with all the promoting that they did.
Correct.
it's
I do actually think there's going to be a lot of people there.
I also think there's gonna
But
be
if
a lot of people.
The,
People
the
don't-
NIL thing they posted. What was it? Yesterday or 2 days ago?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
What'd they post?
It was like pay
You're
$1,000
it's
get a
basically
jersey.
encouraging donations.
literally.
But I also thought it was crazy, but then you have to realize that those people are already making those donations.
Yeah.
So it isn't really that crazy. Now they're just incentivizing donations that were already happening and like pushing it and making it a big deal.
They're trying to get
it's not
So-
more as
funny.
well.
I also thought I was like, oh my gosh, I don't have $1,000 to give. But then you have to remember that there are people who are already giving thousands of dollars. So now they're just
It
like
was like $100 for
pushing it.
a baseball.
Initially, I thought they were selling them.
That's what I thought at first, and then
It was
No,
it was like
but-
the baseball's like $100. I was like,
Huh.
what? And then I
Crazy.
realized that it was not being promoted as items sold, but being
Brian
promoted
O'Connor
as
brought our prices up by 100%. Not even 100%. I guess it'd be.
You can close this tab if you want. It
Yes.
should. Let me double
10x?
check it. Yeah. Just close that.
Because I'm probably gonna actually tab to it at some point.
Yeah.
It's gonna be awkward.
All right.
Yeah. I do think a lot of people are gonna show up, but the event doesn't really work if people don't show up.
Oh, I agree. It's gonna be televised. It's on SEC Network Plus.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of crazy.
It's on SEC Network Plus.
Yeah.
I won't be there. I'll be out of town.
We'll
so.
see how Tucker feels.
He's already told me he's pumped. He's excited.
Is he coming?
He's
Like-
got it
it's
blocked
like
out.
the
He's
Pope.
watching it.
He's watching.
Yeah. He said he's
Yeah,
got.
what do
it
we think
marked-
about Zach Selman's tweet with the maroon smoke out of the
I thought it was
smoker?
funny. But
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was serious.
Yeah.
I thought it was sick.
Well, like
because
with
everyone
the way
admits-
we're like talking about it, right? What it's gonna be, like that's basically like it's a new pope essentially.
I mean, this is baseball. It's Mississippi State. It is. It's insane. It's crazy.
All right.
I get that's the standard, but it is insane.
Kind of fire. It's our sport.
Tough.
Expectation.
Too bad you're gonna wait through a whole football season to watch baseball.
You know the Knicks are gonna win the title in one of the next 2 years, guaranteed.
What's the? Because they
Based
fired.
off of 2 data points.
What are the 2 data points? Is one
Phil,
the fire
Phil Jackson and Steve Kerr.
because they fired Tibbs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well,
But they have to hire Johnny Bryant.
their
that to
assistant
work.
coach.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, the Cavs assistant coach.
Let's see. What
Correct.
time do I need to leave? I want
'Cause the other one got hired
5:45.
Or whatever.
Y'all can start the podcast whenever. I'm gonna leave when y'all start record so that I'm not.
What are we yapping about? Is there a script?
First is Hunter's joining the Hunter. What
Okay.
the fuck?
Our
And there goes the live stream.
Jack.
What?
Jack.
It got bleeped.
Do you not
out.
even know what you just?
I do know what I said.
Oh, okay.
But
okay.
we're past the 5-minute mark, right?
Go back to OBS.
Yeah, we're past.
I still.
Who watches the live?
My parents and younger brother.
Apologies to Harris Oakley. What's his name? Tucker. Tucker.
Also known as fucker. Apologies. It was right there. That was too easy.
Oh gosh.
We're gonna be fine.
You can edit it out if you want. You know.
No, you can't edit out of the live stream, and I'm not gonna post this on the Spotify recording. So
Well, you can just you can
Oh,
just
then we're fine.
you can just cut off the front part of the live.
I always do that. Oh, if the live? No, you can't, because when you do that, it reposts it as a video.
The
It's not
odds
live.
are higher that no one sees this ever than
True. I just
10 people.
If so, apologies to the Oakleys. A
Yeah.
rare slip of the tongue. But do you have Tucker's number?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I
Perfect.
did think it was
And
funny
yeah, just
that
make
you
sure
were,
you're connected.
that you were like, oh, I'm
Oh,
usually
yeah.
the caller guy, and JP was the caller guy for the entire NFL live
Well, I've more
stream.
just been like I have been recently because
That's
JP's
true.
been out.
True.
So
Wait, is that right?
That was pretty funny, but oh well, it's fine.
man, that really is going to set us back. We were on a
No,
clean
no.
streak,
Over.
you know. And if we could have
We
extended
had
that
been
clean
a long
streak,
time
your
without
mom
anyone
really could have
cussing.
recommended us, and that like restarts that clock to 0.
Yep.
So that's tough.
We need a sign in the when we have a new student, we're gonna have a whiteboard.
0
that says-
days since last cuss word.
We're gonna have a whiteboard.
have to
that's-
go and
that
erase
stays
That
without a
would
cuss
be.
word.
I think we need to put that. Yeah.
That
Zero
would be a
shows.
That'd be a good addition.
Yeah.
That would be a good bit. All
That'd
right,
be a
we'll
good
add that.
addition. Are you
Um,
connected to the Bluetooth right now? Because it's saying I can't connect.
I'll go check it.
I got it.
Jack's got it.
Oh, that's Jack's phone.
Yeah. It's not my phone. It's kind of nice having my. I mean, I dropped my phone. I can't get it, but my headset doesn't reach down.
I wish I could download an app. We could have used my phone. My
It's
work.
not that deep. We've got a new camera. We'll get a new camera.
True.
Oh, nope. We're back. We're good.
Heard.
Crazy. Okay, we good?
Yeah, I'm connected now.
So we do that, and then we roll
Test.
into NBA Finals Game 1
Oh, it's
predictions.
no audio.
NBA Finals. Yeah,
Well,
game
actually,
one.
I don't need audio for it to pop up. That's a lie, actually. All right, we're connected.
Man, you just got us copyrighted too. You just played actual music.
Yeah, but it's
If we get
it's
copyrighted
Mississippi
over
State's
half a
music,
second,
so.
okay. So Tucker,
Tucker.
I'm gonna call him Hunter on the show at some point. Tucker is gonna come on the show.
Well, there's worse
What's
things you
his
could
last
call
name?
him. Medlin.
See, I have Hunter
Medine.
Melton in my head, which is a former Aggie baseball player,
Oh, okay.
and that's just not at all Tucker
The
Medlin's
of the
name.
city.
Then we go into NBA Game 1, Finals Game 1 predictions.
Yeah.
Um,
Including one from the Korg.
and then my weekly segments.
Okay.
And then there's no question of the week. So
I
then we
said
just end
JP
there.
might talk about the NBA for 45 minutes today. We shall see.
It's very possible.
Nah.
I'm excited. I'm so excited.
All right.
I'm going to get to a heartfelt story.
Oh,
I want to see if anyone's in the live for that moment. If so, they didn't. Then no one.
nah, I don't think so.
Well, we have 2 concurrent viewers. 3.
I don't know what
One
the
is definitely me.
current viewers concurrent means. Is that how many we've had at the same time?
Probably. So I'm just a third person popped in to view it.
It could have been me because I think if you leave and re-enter, it counts as a view.
Ah, never mind.
That's why for our NFL draft live stream, we had like 240 views because people kept leaving
yeah.
and coming back.
Cool, makes sense. I did get a Gus, at the wedding said he's really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Huge.
He said the same to me. I was making sure that wasn't somebody else that said that to
I wish
Yep.
there's someone else. No disrespect, Gus, but multiple different people would have been fine.
I didn't get to talk to
I
Bo
saw a
enough to
dude.
know.
I got a when I walked for graduation. There's this guy I know from band. I'm not gonna say his name because he's not been on the show. I don't want to disrespect him.
What's
like
his
that.
last name? Or first name?
Pusilowski.
My boy TM. I was walking.
Oh,
I
I
was
know
in
TM.
line to graduate or to check in, get your card.
Tim
and everything.
McGraw?
Tucker Medlin.
A
He
different,
graduated last
different
year.
TM.
Thomas Mickle, our Atlanta Falcons fan.
Toe Mater?
All right, cool story. I'm gonna head out. I was in line to pick up my stuff, and he walks past. I haven't seen this dude in a while. I was in band with him, and then I was in a class with him. But we talked to each other a couple times that semester. Anyway, I haven't talked to him in forever, and he just goes, "Dude, I've been loving the podcast."
There's just no way.
That's awesome.
He said it.
Good.
He's a cool guy.
Huge. Shout out TM.
Yeah. I don't.
Can we get a second letter of that first name?
T-A.
T.A. Tanner?
It's got to be Tanner. What other TA is there?
Taser.
I don't think anyone's going by Taser.
Unlikely.
Tater.
Taz.
Taz. Ooh, that's a fire.
Talmadge?
Talmadge.
I haven't heard that one before.
That is a name. I don't think anyone's rocking Talmadge personally, but,
Taysom.
Yeah,
Taysom? That's a
Taysom's
good
also
one.
an option. All right. 5:43.
5:43.
We got
2 more minutes. I mean, we could start it.
I'm really ready to start. so-
Okay, I'm gonna head out. Just when you start the intro music, just hit record. You guys got it. Have a great time. Bye, everybody. I have to go to work.
It's good work, though.
Are you working the actual event tomorrow as well? Are you cameraing? Bye. Excuse me.
They can't hear that, but I'm excited.
Cool. 0 drop frame still.
I should just get my laptop from the coop tonight or something.
Okay, yeah, I'll pack up and you bring everything here.
So long.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Technical Foul Podcast. You're here with me and JP. No Sanders today. Got called into work for Brian O'Connor's welcome event, and Brian O'Connor is the first thing we'll talk about on the show. But before that, JP, would you like to address the elephant in the room?
The elephant in the room.
Yeah, just look up a little bit. Not just look up with your eyeballs. Don't lift your head up.
I'm lost. I'm so lost.
Your hat.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah, I'm in work uniform, so technically I'm representing the company of Toyota right now.
Sure.
So I would do my best to 1, not break my NDA, and 2, represent the company well.
Fair. Glad to hear it. How you been since the last show?
Good. I was sick as a dog Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. But we've powered through and we're chilling today. Enjoying life.
Nice. Glad
Yeah.
to hear it.
How
Kind
are
of
you?
same for me. Just work every day. Sprayed weed killer for like an hour today, and then did some weed eating as well. Some painting all over the place. I don't know if I have any paint. Yeah, you can.
Nice.
Still got some on me because I also came pretty much straight from work. But gotta get the podcast in, so we can go get rolling. On the docket, we're gonna have Tucker join us again. If you don't remember or didn't listen to the episode, Tucker called in to discuss Mississippi State baseball head coaching candidates for the job. And now that we've hired someone, we're going to bring him back to kind of dissect the hire and talk with us about it. Really wish Sanders could be here for this because Sanders is just a big state baseball guy, but he can't. And then we're going to give Game 1 of the NBA Finals predictions and just talk about it a little more. We hit it on Sunday's show, but we're going to hit it again. And then we have my weekly segments, Cock of the Walk, Winner, Chicken Dinner, and Rod and Egg to kind of round out the show. But yeah, you want to go give Tucker a call?
Yeah, let's bring him in. Our
Hopefully he's ready to roll.
resident Mississippi State baseball expert and fan.
Yeah, scours the message boards.
He's been huge for us throughout the calling process.
I'm pretty excited. I think he's going to come in with a lot of energy.
Tucker, you are live on Technical Foul.
I'll be honest, Jack. I was going to come in with a lot more energy when I thought you knew my name.
Yeah, that's on me. I don't know why I Hunter out of nowhere. That's my bad. My bad, Tucker. But yeah, how you
It's all
doing?
good. It's all good. I'm a lot better after Sunday night. I'll tell you that.
Sure.
Absolutely.
I knew this was going to be the case. That I told Sanders it multiple times. I was like, as soon as y'all lose, no one's going to care because it's coaching search season in full force, and then y'all didn't even have to wait long. It was an hour after y'all lost, and everyone knew it was coming because plane tracking is a thing. So we had to start. Mississippi State's plane was in the air en route to Charlottesville, and I think before the game ended, it had turned around and was coming back. And you just kind of felt like on board with Mississippi State's new coach, Brian O'Connor, and sure enough, that came true very quickly. But initial thoughts on the hire, Tucker, and how the staff has been rounded out around him?
Okay, yeah. On your point about like it diminishing the sting of the regional loss, I feel like the news like soft broke on Thursday,
Sure.
where it was like it's not done, but it's looking like it's going to be this. I feel like that made just like the whole regional was just if we win, that's great. If we lose, we get Brian O'Connor, so who really cares in the end?
You even had On3 delete their tweet that it wasn't even just like, deals are being finalized. I think the tweet was Brian O'Connor is the new head coach of Mississippi State baseball, and then they deleted it.
Yeah, I think you're right. So, I mean, kind of like we talked about in that conversation about the candidates, this is the best name that State could have hired because Jim Schlossnagle wasn't taking the call. Tony Vitello wasn't taking the call.
Brian O'Connor's a better
coaches that
coach
would
than Slosh anyway. No bias there, but
I think you could definitely argue that. I don't know. I've seen a lot of people really respect Schloss in the past like couple years, basically since he got to A&M.
yeah.
So I mean, I'm not gonna fight you and say that Schloss is better because Brian O'Connor's my coach now. But this is the best hire State could have made. I think this might be getting too big picture too fast, but I think it makes a lot of sense or I guess it doesn't make a lot of sense. Like State has had ADs that come from Mississippi State, like Larry Templeton and John Cohen, and it seems like State finally has an athletic director that views Mississippi State as a place that should matter, if that makes sense.
Sure. I have enjoyed
Like,
a bit of the 180 the fan base has done on Selman post this hire, which, I mean, is somewhat deserved because this is a home run hire. But I do feel like there were a lot of people that weren't the biggest fan of him, and then he makes this hire and posts his maroon smoke gif, and now everyone's in love with him. But, I mean, once again, it is deserved because he went out and got done what needed to be done. So
100%. I think a lot of the stuff Selman's done has been behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And like a lot of fundraising stuff with raising money. Like we see all these tweets about like, oh, this person's given $1 million. Now we got $2 million. All of this stuff, and none of that money like directly leads to wins. Like we don't get that, and then that means we're going to win on Saturday.
it helps, though.
So it's hard to really see the fruits of that until like down the line.
Sure.
But you see it in a hire like this.
Yeah. In terms of, so Brian O'Connor is the new head coach. Can you give us who he's kind of been rounding out his staff with? I know he's brought a couple people from UVA. Still looking for a hitting coach, I believe, or not a pitching coach, I believe. Unless I missed that
Yes.
one. It's been announced he's not bringing the UVA guy. I know the Wake Forest guy's name has been floated around. But yeah, who all is kind of rounding out the staff around him?
Yeah, so it seems like he's basically brought everyone with him from Virginia except the pitching coach.
Okay.
So the main guys, I don't know like the whole staff, all their names, but the
Sure.
main guys, I'll say Kevin McMullen, the hitting coach,
Uh-huh.
has been with him since he got to Virginia. He's been there the whole time.
That's crazy.
I think he's won like assistant coach of the year multiple times and all this stuff. It kind of surprised me. You would think that that guy would be a head coach by now, but
Yeah.
he seems to just kind of be comfortable coaching underneath O'Connor.
Sure.
I think Matt Kirby is the other assistant coach title
Yeah.
that'll be coming with him. I think he coaches catchers and is the recruiting coordinator. And then, like you said, so the pitching coach isn't coming with him. The two names that seem to be floating around are Corey Mascara from Wake Forest. If you had told me when we first talked that Corey Mascara ended up being the head coach in Mississippi State, I think most people would have been fine with that.
Yeah.
A lot of people would say he's the best pitching coach in the country. He recruits really well. He's a big reason why Wake Forest was a few outs away from playing for a national championship a couple years ago. And he's built this Wake Forest pitching lab that's, I feel like it's almost like mythical now in college baseball. Like people just talk about it like it's not real.
Yeah. They always got dudes.
But right, exactly. And it feels like every single one of their dudes like throw high 90s and have crazy breaking balls and everything. The other name is Justin Parker, who we all know. He's been the pitching coach here for 2 years, was the interim coach. And I don't know of anyone that said he didn't do a great job as the interim coach, navigating everything that's come with that. So it seems like O'Connor is going to make a run at Corey Mascara and try really hard to pull him from Wake Forest. And if that doesn't happen, he's just fine with Justin Parker being the guy, because Justin Parker's proven that he can develop guys.
Absolutely.
He can develop great pitchers.
He's put when Pico gets drafted, he'll have put 3 guys in the top 3 rounds of the MLB draft.
Yeah.
He's done an
Right.
excellent
And I would say
job.
and I would say that 2 of those guys, Cal Steven and Pico, weren't going to be draft guys before he got here.
Sure.
Absolutely.
And they worked with him.
You also got to look at it in the context of where the staff was when he took over, because if I'm not mistaken, that was the biggest issue with in the years y'all didn't make the tournament, was y'all could hit just fine, but y'all would just lose games like 10-6, 10-7. So not only to put a couple guys in the league, but when you look at that, he did that, on a quick turnaround, kind of with a disaster of a pitching staff prior. So definitely a very good fallback option. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It just feels. I was talking to Sanders before he left, and they're doing this big old, welcome event. I guess Brian Connor welcome event. They're pulling out all the stops. He says it's on SEC Network Plus. I saw they're opening up Left Field Lounge.
Mm-hmm.
You can grill. You can bring in your coolers. They're opening up the concession stands. I feel like that's also a sign of the fact that they're pivoting / they understand what baseball means to Mississippi State fans, and the importance of it, and kind of hopefully the monetary focus they're going to give to it. Because when O'Connor was hired, it was pretty quickly that he got a big contract, but also they're going to be very aggressive with NIL with him, and I think that's a very good sign. It just kind of heightens excitement around the hire, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think so. As far as the welcome thing, I think this is just like a Zach Selman thing.
Gotcha.
He had something similar with Jeff Levy, where they did it outside of the Seal building, and they Keenum and Selman and Levy they played wrestler walkout music as they walked out of the Seal building onto the stage and all this stuff. So I think this is just something he likes to do to drum up a lot of excitement for new coaches and
Gotcha.
new starts and everything. I think you're right though about the resources. I don't know if I would necessarily say that it's diverting resources. I think that it's just put a lot more money is coming in.
Yeah.
That over the last few years, there are a lot of people that really care about Mississippi State baseball. And the product the last few years has really inspired them to give money. From everything I've been able to read, this isn't Zach Selman's taking money out of football or men's basketball because state fans want to win in baseball.
Sure.
He's been, as far as I can tell, his biggest thing is that football and men's basketball need to win because that's what props up the rest of your athletic department, which is true. I think in the long run, Mississippi State can make money off baseball, but the best case scenario is that it pays for itself and maybe a little extra.
Yeah, it's pretty well documented that college baseball programs lose money, with the exception being some SEC schools and maybe a couple ACC ones. I don't really know how that works out anymore with NIL and like how not all of that is probably really reported. So you could think that a baseball program's operating in the green, and it's simply not because there's a couple extra million in NIL going out that we don't know about. So it's just kind of hard to know. But that is a good point. It is tough for state fans potentially, depending on who you ask, that all this excitement is here and you have to wait a calendar year, 8-9 months to kind of see it play out on the field. And you may have to go through another pretty brutal football season to get there as well. Depends on who you ask. JP's over here shaking his head. Surely not 2-10 again, but
there's some maybe and mights on that schedule. I've already called out 2 in our group chat. But we'll see. Tucker, there's been a lot of positive so far since Sunday. You, right now, are there any doubts in the back of your mind going forward with Brian O'Connor?
I don't have any doubts that Mississippi State will be better than they've been for the past 4 years. I think that it's fair to ask if Brian O'Connor can necessarily become what LSU is right now and what Arkansas is right now and what Texas is right now. As far as I feel like those programs can say every year we will be a national seed and not really think much about it. Like you don't really have to look at the roster. You just know that that's what they're going to be. I think that's a fair question to ask. But I would put money on Mississippi State's going to be in the postseason every year. They're going to be in the hosting discussion basically every year. And I don't even feel like that's a bet. I feel like you can take that to the bank. And then it's just, what is that ceiling going to look like? Because one thing, if there was a knock on O'Connor the last few years, I feel like they've had a lot of postseason success, but they haven't necessarily had the in-season success that Mississippi State fans expect as far as being a national seed every year kind of thing. They've been able to make these runs to Omaha, but that's when they were, like last year, they were the number 12 national seed. They've made a couple runs as like a 2-seed or a 3-seed in a regional all the way to Omaha, which is great once you get to June, but there's also going to be a lot of frustration in March and April and May.
It's also a thing, too, with how good the SEC is. You can't really stumble through conference play and try and find your stride late. There's a good chance you'll just lose too many games and miss the tournament altogether, because each week is a grind. There's not really, you don't get I feel like I'm throwing shade, but like you don't get to go play Boston College. You may get Missouri on the schedule, but like it's just there's just no easy wins to pick up when you're struggling. So that is something to keep an eye out on. That, and also talking about concerns. And this is me like trying to find a concern, so I'm not like saying this is what's going to happen or this could, but it's just very much a changing landscape. And we've seen him. They didn't make the tournament this year, Virginia, that is, where Brian O'Connor is from. And we have seen before, like, you bring a guy in, you give him all the money he needs, he builds this crazy staff, and that's just like it just like doesn't click, or it just kind of collapses. I don't think that's what's going to happen, but it is a thing like money doesn't necessarily solve everything, and in some cases it can actually create more issues. Seems like a great coach. He had fantastic success at Virginia, so I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but there just always is that chance. For
sure. And I think this is also the first job where he's really had expectations. At Virginia, they had no history, and by the time they had what you could call expectations, he was the one that brought them there. So there was never any like job pressure for him as far as is he gonna be able to keep his job.
That's a great point.
He could have stayed there for the rest of his career if he wanted, and never made another regional, and they would have just been fine with it. And I think, and so, but at Mississippi State, say he misses a regional the next 2 years for some reason, which I don't expect to happen, then going into year 3, everyone's going to be looking around like, we gave you all this money, we gave you all this NIL, and here we are, and we have the same results. How does he respond to something like that if that were to happen? I feel like that's definitely a fair question.
Yeah, no, that's
I think
a great point.
As a general rule, like pressure is a privilege for a lot of these coaches, like expectations, like you want to have expectations, but it's also a different challenge that he hasn't really had to face.
Yeah, no, for sure. Kind of last thing I want to ask as we look to wrap this up. Any news on the transfer front? I know Virginia's had a lot of players enter the transfer portal. I know you're kind of big on following that stuff and keeping your ears to the ground. Even some UVA guys have entered with do not contact tags. So do you expect a lot of those guys to follow? Have you heard any kind of rumblings about any kind of near commitments in that regard or anything of that nature?
Yeah, so I've heard that most people expect by next Monday, so a week from 2 days ago, that State will at least have a few players in the boat.
Sure.
Like the most likely of those would be some of those Virginia guys that kind of knew where they were going when they were leaving. I'm blanking on his name right now. It starts with a V, but he's a left-handed pitcher from Virginia. It sounds like he's really close to committing. Eric Becker is a shortstop that's really good for Virginia. I don't know if he's one that's going to hop in really quickly, but I think that he's kind of penciled in to come to Mississippi State. I would say that any one of the guys that has left Virginia, if he has decent stats or you see like a tweet that comes by that says this guy has a lot of potential or he'll be a big name, he's at least going to hear Mississippi State out before he makes a choice to go somewhere else.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, and to add to the excitement for State fans, this is a UVA team that was ranked number 2 preseason. And while that obviously didn't come together, that indicates there was a large amount of talent on this roster. So the idea of a lot of that talent finding its way to Starkville, it really adds to the excitement. I mean, we'll see. I mean, some of them are draft eligible, like Henry Ford entered the portal. Once again, he is draft eligible. I'm trying to find the guy you were talking about starts with V, because it's kind of going to drive me crazy.
Valencius, maybe, is his name? Something like that?
Yeah, that sounds right. Gosh, I'm not going to be able to find it. But yeah, it really should be exciting. It does suck that we have to wait 8 months to get there. But also, that'll just add to the excitement. I can't wait. I'm not a State fan, but I may have to find my way into Duty Noble for the kind of the opening weekend, because it's going to be hopping. It's going to be packed.
We'll have to get you there, Jack. I wanted to ask you about this before I go.
Sure.
This is a little bit of a different subject. But what are your thoughts on keeping Michael Early?
Sure.
Because I saw, I think it was in Kendall Rogers' tweet, that he kind of alluded to some back channeling to other coaches, that it seemed like it didn't work out with them, and so they chose to keep Early. That's the way I read it anyways. I don't know if you had heard anything different or thought anything different.
Yeah, I can touch on it real quick. That's exactly what I heard too. And alluding to that same tweet, it definitely makes it sound that way. It's not the best look in that regard, because it's like we basically come out and the AD makes the statement of like, after talking with Michael Early and like his vision, like we're confident he can lead us to where we need to go. And it's like, well, but clearly you weren't actually that confident, because you kicked the tires on a couple names and just couldn't find anything you liked. In terms of us keeping Michael Early and how I feel about it, I'm fine with it to give it one more ride. I would have preferred to go a different direction, but I do think that there is a head coach in there somewhere, a successful head coach, and he didn't put it together this year. And I guess I'm just hoping he can learn from his mistakes. There's been some staff shakeups, and that it'll kind of click. Because we were very talented this year. There was no consistency. I saw a tweet yesterday which made me mad. There are 4 SEC teams left in the tournament, right? We won the series against 3 of them, and then the one we didn't play in the regular season, Auburn, we beat them in the regular season in the SEC tournament. So just no consistency. But we had some highs. I'm just hoping he can put it together. But I agree, it's not really a great look when it sounded like your AD was kind of sneaking around, and then decided to stick with the guy. It kind of sounds like he's not the biggest fan of him. So I think it also
we'll see how it turns out.
Last point on that, I think it's just a sign that baseball isn't our thing. We've had a very good baseball program, but it's never going to be a priority. Like Mississippi State wouldn't have let this slide in a lot of ways, I feel like. Obviously, you can say, well, Lamona's had a couple terrible years and he stuck around, but it's also like he just won y'all a natty, so it's a different scenario. But yeah, it's not great. I think I'm just a little dead to the pain, if that makes sense, and to the disappointment. It's almost like, well, this is where we are, so like, what's one more year of being disappointed?
That's fair. I understand that. I understand it from that perspective. I would definitely, I'm not trying to take shots at A&M, but I would definitely be scared of Trev Alberts making a hire.
Yeah,
I don't really know how he got from Nebraska to A&M, but
I'm not the biggest Trev Alberts guy at all. Haven't been since we hired him. He's another guy I think we hired to help us navigate the changing landscape, and keep us from losing a bunch of money, if that makes sense. And then maybe when everything settles down, he may get fired, or we'll just stick with him. But I really think it was a money move and not a winning move to hire him from Nebraska. So it is what it is.
Gotcha.
And it is I already said last thing on early, but he also is a nice guy. And obviously, like, I need wins more than anything. But it's a lot easier to stomach a guy sticking around when all the players love him, and he just seems like a good guy. So.
Oh yeah, always. That's why I've always, people will say, being a nice guy doesn't help you win, but when you lose, it'll buy you time, for sure.
It'll buy you time. It gives you a little spin zone. You can, I don't know. A&M is big on, the Aggie values and all the loyalty in that, and I think it can get us into trouble sometimes when it comes to winning games. But it also is a pretty fun thing to be a part of at the same time, so. Anything else you want to add before we let you go?
I think we just about covered it. I'm excited to see how this portal season goes. It'll give me something to watch as I put off watching Mississippi State football.
It's inevitable. There's no way to not get excited. As an A&M fan that's disappointed a lot of years, as July turns to August, you kind of get that feeling in your chest once again. There's just nothing like it. So.
Oh, for sure. I think y'all have talked about it too, but, State should just aim for a bowl game this year. But by the time we get to Labor Day, I'll be expecting 8 wins, I'm sure.
JP, any thoughts on that as someone that is a big proponent of keeping expectations low?
It's possible.
Well, see, he's already there, too. There is no by Labor Day. He's there.
I do think, it's possible.
Question for both of y'all before we let you go. Tucker, I almost said Hunter. Tucker, where would you rank Mississippi State's football team in the SEC in terms of roster talent? Because I had a coworker at lunch saying that y'all were probably gonna have a winning season. I was very confident about that. And one, I don't think he's the most well known, but that's a legitimate question. It was as you look to trying to win SEC games, where are y'all the worst talented? Do y'all have the least talented roster in the SEC?
No, I'd still put us above Vandy. I think Vandy does a lot of schematic things to give them an advantage, and they have a dog at quarterback. But I think roster talent, State has more than them. Other than that, it'd be tough. I think Kentucky would probably be close.
Sure.
Other than that, it'd be hard to find someone that State's better than roster-wise.
Yeah, I think you could make an argument Arkansas is that low based off of their recruiting rankings the past 4 years. But, yeah, it's not great.
I'll have to do some objective research because obviously this isn't how it works. But look at like stuff like blue chip ratio and returning production and stuff like that. Because, yeah, I was just like, man, that's just – obviously you can beat rosters that are more talented than you, but it's not just that some of these rosters are more talented than Mississippi State. It's some of these are grossly more talented than Mississippi State. So it makes the avenue to making a bowl game a little more difficult. But if you clean up against your cupcakes and y'all play...
we don't necessarily play cupcakes this year.
Well, y'all got to have like an FCS team, or what's y'all's...
Southern Miss.
I think we play Alcorn, Southern Miss, Northern Illinois.
And, Northern Illinois.
Okay.
And then the Sun Devils, who aren't going to be good this year. So
You're saying that right now?
No, they're going to be good.
Yeah.
But
the Sun Devils is a tough Power 5 draw. But I'm just saying, if you can win those 3, you're halfway there.
And
for sure, I think
we might beat Georgia, and we might beat Florida.
You said we are beating Florida.
I said we might.
Okay.
I quote me on that. I'm pretty sure I said we might.
Sounds good.
Something that hurts State as far as like ranking talent is I'd say the most talented player on the team is the third string quarterback.
Yeah.
So like if you're factoring in talent, maybe that raises State up, but he's not going to help State win this year.
Him or Tony Mitchell?
Ooh, that's a good point.
I as someone that is, a fan of a school that was very, very involved in that recruitment, Tony Mitchell's a baller. Just decided to get busted for weed and drugs, or weed and guns, which is a tough combo.
If he just listens to Stephen A., I think he'll be all right this year.
Yeah, facts. All right, thanks for joining, Tucker. I'm sure we'll have you back on the show at some point.
Most definitely.
It's always a good time when you call, but we'll let you go. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
All right, thanks, guys. See you later.
Later.
Peace, Tucker. Peace, Hunter.
Big shout out. Not the other name, Tucker.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great.
It's an exciting time. I wish A&M baseball was in the same boat, but it is what it is. Next on the docket, we're just going to roll into NBA playoff, more finals talk. JP's bread and butter.
Yeah.
What he's always most excited for.
I can't wait.
I'm going to go give my take on game one. What I think is going to happen. You can go first. Sure.
Okay. It's not a take on game one.
Okay.
I love the finals.
Mm-hmm.
I love the NBA finals. It is up there with the Super Bowl in terms of like importance in my life from a sport perspective.
Yeah.
Which from a sport perspective is still pretty high on the list from even a total life perspective.
Yeah.
The NBA finals, basketball is my favorite sport, so that's the biggest event you can get. I always watched it with my dad and my family. Always big takes during the games and everything. Me and my dad, we loved watching elite basketball, which is usually what is played once you get to the NBA finals.
Sure.
People can talk about the product outside of the NBA finals, but I think the finals is as pure as it gets. I was in Boy Scouts, and so we always went to summer camp one of the weeks of the NBA finals.
That's brutal.
It sucked. It absolutely sucked. I would fight tooth and nail. As soon as I got to the camp, I would be asking everybody, where can I get Wi-Fi? Can I borrow your phone to watch game 2? Can I borrow your phone to watch game 3? And like specifically the 2019 NBA finals, I'm at camp. Game 1 and game 2. Game 1, game 2, game 3 have been played. Game 4 is played the first night I'm there. I miss it. And then game 5 is going to be played. And I know KD's coming back to play game 5. Warriors down 3-1 to the Raptors. And I didn't get to watch that game either. So I learned about him popping his Achilles the next morning.
No.
And I convinced one of my instructors to let me watch the highlights from House of Highlights on YouTube.
Shout out House of Highlights.
And so I watch. I mean, Durant is cooking in that first quarter. I believe he had 13 points, pops his Achilles. The Warriors pull it out, a gritty one. And I take my phone and I record the House of highlights so I can go back and watch them again later just to process the entire game. I was able to pull off Wi-Fi and watch Game 6, and unfortunately the Warriors lose the Raptors.
Shorthanded.
Yeah, and I watched Clay tear his ACL. But, yeah, the finals are it's like the Super Bowl to me.
Yeah.
It means so much, and I can't wait. Unfortunately, it's going to be terrible from a product perspective, from a presentation perspective, because we have Richard Jefferson and Doris Burke calling the NBA Finals.
Did you see what I sent in Yapping? That you maybe
not specifically.
There's talk that Doris Burke may not return next year to ESPN.
Rightfully
and
so.
What I said is looks like ESPN agrees with us.
She's been atrocious, yeah.
Which is strange because I have typically enjoyed Doris Burke, but I don't know what it's been about this postseason. She's just not kind of at her same edge that she normally does. So it just may be time for her to kind of get moved off the primetime stuff.
Yeah. Since Van Gundy and Jackson have left, it has been rough.
Yeah.
They were excellent with Mike. I half wish just TNT could call the finals at this point.
Sure. Yeah, they definitely were the better crew throughout the playoffs, in my opinion.
But it's going to be electric. I can't wait for tomorrow night and the entire 2 weeks, hopefully, of NBA Finals games we have. You can go ahead with your
Okay. Now. First, I want to ask how many. I think you said this, and we maybe both said it Sunday. But how many games do you think this series goes?
Thunder in 5.
Okay, that's where I'm at. I think I said Thunder in 6 Sunday, but I think I'm down to Thunder in 5. In terms of Game 1, how I think it's going to go down, I actually think the Pacers are going to play really, really well in Game 1. They're going to come in with some energy and some fire into a tough environment, kind of a well-known elite playoff environment in Oklahoma City. I think they're going to come out hot. They're going to give it their best chance. They're going to play well. But OKC is still going to come away with the win, and that's kind of when what we already know is going to be amplified in that the Thunder are just really that good. That's not a knock on the Pacers. I just said they're going to play a great game. I think we're actually getting the two best teams in the playoffs in terms of how teams are playing right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
The two best teams in the playoffs are making the finals. But yeah, I think it's just Indiana's going to throw a haymaker. OKC's going to absorb it. You're going to get a good Shea game. Oklahoma City's going to make stops when needed. The pace Indiana plays at, one, I think the Thunder can contain it pretty well. But especially when you get to crunch time, the pace doesn't really stay the same, especially. It's just going to naturally become a little slower. And so I think that combined with just the star power of OKC and their defense is going to let them pull out this win. I'm trying to think. I want to give a big prediction. So I'll kick it to you, and you can talk about Game 1, and I'll...
Yeah, it's something kind of has to give, at least from both sides, really. The Thunder, in their 3 Game 1s so far this postseason, I mean, they beat the doors off the Grizzlies.
Yeah.
They choke the fouling up 3 against the Nuggets, and then they dismantled the Timberwolves, especially in the second half. And for the Pacers side, the first 4 games of all 3 series have gone the same way. The Pacers won the 2 on the road, lost Game 3 at home, won Game 4. And in their first 2 series, they end up winning Game 5. And this last one with the Knicks, they end up losing Game 5 and win Game 6. So it feels like something has to give. Both of these teams have played amazing in Game 1. For the Pacers side, it's been on the road, so they're not. I don't think they're going to be, shaken up by the Thunder crowd, as electric as it is. If you can play well in the Garden, I think you can play well at OKC.
Yeah.
And for the Thunder have started off these series really controlling the pace and controlling these games. So it'll be very interesting to see how the teams respond especially both coming off of big rest. The Thunder haven't played in, I believe, 9 days tomorrow, and then the Pacers haven't played in 6 days. So the rest, both teams will be well rested there. It'll be very interesting to see how that plays out. I'm really curious to see how this goes. What I said it in the other episode, I think what's going to be awesome about this series and what's going to keep everybody continuously tuning in is the fact that like the Pacers have made all of these unbelievable comebacks. Like I even feel like, which is the only thing that kind of worries me about the Thunder in this series, is the Pacers don't have to play 48 minutes of perfect basketball. Like I've been saying, you have to play to beat the Thunder. They could play 42 minutes of okay basketball and then play 6 minutes of electric basketball and win the game.
That's what they did.
And that is going to be really exciting to see. I imagine they're going to do it in one game in the series because they have in every series. They've had an elite comeback in all 3 series. That's game 4 against the Bucks, in game 1 against the Cavs, and game 1 against the Knicks. So it's going to be very interesting to watch.
That's kind of why I wanted to say OKC in 6 instead of 5, is because I feel like the Pacers will get one. Well, we talked about it so many times on this podcast, but maybe that game 3, if they're down 2-0, where they just come out, desperation game, and they kind of control it tip to tip, and then you maybe get a Pacers game in terms of they're down 10 with 4 or 5 minutes left, and they find a way to win the game, and that's how you get to OKC in 6. I didn't end up going that route, but it is definitely a worry. They can get hot. I love the confidence they're playing with right now. Another reason I agree that I don't actually know how much OKC's home court will kind of slow them down. I do think it'll help OKC, though, if that makes sense. Like the Pacers won't be fazed by it, but OKC can still feed off that energy that the crowd gives them. So I was talking about trying to find like a prediction to give for game 1. I think I'm going to say Chet scores 25 plus in game 1. I'm a little worried about the matchups on the Pacer side for him. If you're going to try and put Miles Turner on him when he's in the game and there's no Hardenstein, your other option, I guess, is Pascal Siakam, who has played pretty good defense this playoffs, but there's definitely a bit of a height disparity there, like there is with most people who guard Chet. Mm-hmm. So I'm interested to see how the Pacers tackle him, I guess.
I think they're going to play Tony Bradley a ton.
Sure.
I think
didn't he get hurt though in the last game? Because that's why you got those Thomas Bryant minutes.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know what the status is there, and that's also something else I wanted to bring up is Nesmith rolled his ankle, and it definitely hindered him.
Tony Bradley questionable for game 1.
And it definitely
more likely he plays.
You had Nesmith play, obviously, the rest of that series, but he definitely was hindered. Mm-hmm. You end up with Nembhard guarding Brunson more, which as well as Nembhard played actually guarded Brunson in Game 6. Nesmith is the better defender and the person that you would want on Shea. So I'm interested to see how his ankle's doing.
Yeah.
Come this series. I mean,
especially with the size. Nembhard he'll be 4 inches shorter than Shea.
Yeah.
And Shea, with how good in the mid range he is, height is usually the biggest factor in those shots.
Yeah, Nesmith is taller, and he's just bigger, too. He's got some more muscle to him. It's been 6 days, so I'm really hoping the ankle's healed up nicely so we can see that matchup. But, yeah, I'm going to say Chet 25-plus in Game 1. I don't even know what his highest scoring performance is this playoffs.
I believe he had 28, if I'm not mistaken.
So I'm basically predicting him to go for close to a playoff high in Game 1.
Let me see if I can get it up.
Sure.
24 is
24. So
in the Memphis series.
I'll amend my prediction to just Chet scores a playoff high in Game 1.
Okay.
He gets going. The Pacers struggle to stop him. And I mean, obviously he's not scored 25 yet, but we have had multiple games where he's kind of taken over for stretches or just been like he gets his and no one can stop him. He just hasn't had high scoring outbursts because they have so many other scores. You know, J-Dub and Shea are going to get their touches too. So
I've loved watching him because like this is his 3rd season, but he's really only played like 1.5 seasons from a games perspective. Because he misses his rookie year, he plays 82 last year, and then he misses basically 50 to 60 games this year.
He's played a little over 100 career games.
And yet he has just been great down the stretch of games, both defensively, more importantly defensively, and offensively. He's hit some timely threes for the Thunder. I do think that's a bad matchup for the Pacers. I really only think Tony Bradley can match up with him defensively. And I think he's kind of a key for the Thunder scoring wise. I think he could get what he wanted. On the Pacers side, if they're going to steal game one, for one, X Factor Siakam has to play really well, in my opinion. But I also feel like for the Pacers, Benedict Mathurin is going to be key, especially coming off the bench. I think he's the one guy the Pacers have that, outside of Siakam, that it feels like he could be a bad matchup even for the elite defenders that OKC has, because he's so explosive, and he's so strong as well. Cason Wallace is not strong enough to stay with him. I don't think Lou Dort or Caruso are fast enough to stay with Benedict. And for his, for a lot of these guys, their first finals, but for him, his first real deep postseason experience, because he was hurt last season for the Pacers. It'll be interesting to see how he plays coming off the bench, because they're going to need that. They're going to have to still play really good basketball to stay with the Thunder step for step, and him coming off the bench and being productive will be huge for them.
Yeah, he's another kind of spark plug scorer they have. It's honestly interesting that he doesn't impact the game more consistently. He's so explosive, he's so athletic, and it feels like that would play perfectly into the style that Pacers want to play, but somehow it just hasn't completely gelled. But you still get these stretches where he's hot and he'll just go get his. So I agree. Negative X factor to me is Miles Turner.
Yeah.
Had some struggles in the Knicks series where he didn't necessarily play for stretches. I'm a little worried about his ability to hold up against the pressure OKC will bring. He loves the pick and pop, but also just working down low. Hardenstein, even if Caruso decides to get on him and, play that pesky defense where he's going to look to poke the ball away. I'm just interested to see how Miles Turner handles it. And if he doesn't play well, how the Pacers pivot out of that.
I really think the only way he can be productive is similar to how Julius Randle was productive in this last series, is just shooting well from three.
Yeah.
I think that's the only thing he's going to be able to get when he wants it. Because, in the playoffs, he is fourth on the team in rebounds per game.
Yeah.
As the starting center. He just is not a productive
He's not a
rebounder.
down low kind of guy. It's not how he wants to play in the first place. So
I think he's got to just shoot the three ball well to be a plus, and to be someone they can rely on to play. Otherwise, I think they're going to play Obi Toppin a lot of those minutes because he can match the speed and the energy that the Thunder play with. So Miles Turner he's just got to shoot the three ball well in this series for the Pacers to have a chance. For me to make a prediction on game one, I think the Thunder continue with suit. I think they win this game by 20+. I really expect the crowd to just be unbelievable. This
as
is
they
the
should
finals
be.
from since 2012, and now that Oklahoma's out of the Women's College World Series, there's nothing left to cheer for but the Thunder.
Yeah.
So I think the crowd is just going to be ruckus and unbelievable, and I do think, for game one, at least, it's going to affect the Pacers.
Sure.
I don't expect Halliburton to play well in game one with the way he finished out that New York series, and I expect the Thunder to overwhelm the Pacers and take game one at home.
We're talking about something has to give. Reminds me, you talked about the Pacers have won games 1 and 2, lost game 3, and won game 4.
In every series.
And I think the exact opposite is going to happen in this series, which is just kind of interesting.
Yeah.
You'll get the classic OKC wins both at home, because it's just really, really hard to see OKC losing a game at home. But then Indiana's still the first one in Gainbridge Fieldhouse because they're desperate.
Mm-hmm.
The crowd's still going to show up even though they're down 2-0, because why would they not? Their team's in the finals.
Yeah.
And then OKC kind of finishes them off from there. But I'm excited. Even if we both predicted to go to 5, so not necessarily a good series, but I still think we're going to get some good games out of this series and some games that are a ton of fun to watch. So I'm not necessarily down on the series as a whole, even though I expect it to only go 5.
I think we're guaranteed a blowout in one of these two with the Thunder at home.
Yeah.
But I think the other game's going to be close, and I really think both games on the road are going to be close because the Thunder have not been good on the road in the playoffs.
Yeah.
The 2 Grizzly games were very close. They only won one of the games in Denver, and they got blown out in Game 3 against Minnesota, and then Game 4 was really close down to the wire. They ended up winning that game by 2. So I really expect the Pacers to play well at home because the Thunder just don't play as well on the road. And I think that'll be kind of the key for the Pacers in this series is get home court advantage. You need to split one of these first 2 to really give yourself a chance going forward in the series, because if they were to win Game 1 or Game 2, it immediately puts all of the pressure on the Thunder for the rest of the series, because the Thunder have to go out and prove once again that they can play well on the road and steal one, because that's really kind of how it's felt the entire postseason. I mean, you think about the big comeback against the Grizzlies that we watched here, and then you think about the fourth quarter where they just play electric in the fourth quarter against Denver, and then again in Game 4 against Minnesota. They've had to go out there and steal a game on the road, and if you can put again the pressure on this young team to have to prove themselves again, that is the only leg up and advantage I see for the Pacers to actually have a chance to win this series, because otherwise I think they're outmatched. I think it's truly a big guy and slightly smaller guy. They're very similarly built, and they play with very similar energy. One is electric defensively, the other electric offensively. I just think the Thunder are that good.
Yeah. I mean, the common thought process is you needed a top 7 or 8 player in the NBA to win the finals, and the Pacers have overcome that by a strength in numbers thing. Not that Halliburton is not fantastic, and he's close to that mark, but I wouldn't necessarily say he's a top 7 or 8 player. But the strength in numbers advantage doesn't exist against OKC, and then OKC also has a top 2 player in the world currently. So it's going to be a tough thing to overcome. I completely agree. But you get to watch electric defense and electric offense, so tune in. It's just a blast. Anything else you want to add to wrap it up?
Yeah, just rapid fire things. The Corgi, Air Corgi.
Oh yeah,
pick the Pacers in 6.
Okay. Do we have a correct percentage?
He has not missed a playoff series this postseason.
I mean, Air Corey is that good, so that surprised me. That's worrisome for the Thunder.
Yeah,
actually, that's
extremely worrisome.
That's the biggest knock I've seen, or biggest worry for the Thunder so far is that.
The Pacers have not worn a uniform, their yellow uniform, not worn their yellow uniform.
Yeah.
Since the regular season, the last game of the regular season. They've worn that city uniform and had the city court for 3 playoff games, or 4 playoff games. But other than that, they have only worn the yellow uniform.
Crazy.
So I'll be interested to see if they wear a different color uniform for this postseason, or for the NBA Finals.
If they start losing, you gotta think they probably break something different out.
Yeah, and I really hope the Thunder don't break out their black uniforms as well. I hope they stick to the white and blue the entire series.
Sure.
But I'm excited. Thunder favored by 9 tomorrow night. It'll be an electric atmosphere. Game 1 of the NBA Finals. And, I can't wait.
Bet. We can go and move on to our weekly segments. I'm trying to think. I'm going to save the best for last. We normally start with the winter order chicken dinner.
All right.
Or, I guess we typically start with cock of the walk, so we can go into that. Najari Kennedy is my cock of the walk. Texas Tech softball's starting pitcher. The only starting pitcher that matters for them, apparently, because she has thrown 362 consecutive pitches to lead the... Man, we have to strike for our graphics guy. We got a typo on the graphic here. To lead the RE Raiders to the Women's College World Series final. That should be Red Raiders.
Shout out CT.
They got her out of the portal from Stanford, and she's just been that guy. She's the basic... I mean, they have other players, but they don't have any other pitchers. That's not true. They don't use any other pitchers. So in a way, it does kind of feel like she single-handedly got them there. They're the team that toppled Oklahoma a couple days ago, who is the college softball powerhouse. So they get to go up against Texas, state rivals. But yeah, pretty impressive. It's just, as a big baseball guy, it's such a different dichotomy and baseball's all about protecting the arm, rightfully so, because arm injuries are just at an all-time high in baseball. And in softball, it's like, just because the mechanics are different, it's just, you're fine. Like, just go out there and give it a go.
From a physics perspective, it puts so much less force on your elbow. Like, the human body is not designed to throw 98 miles an hour.
Correct.
From an overhead angle. And yeah, but for me, it's the only thing I don't really like about softball is that we don't see more pitchers pitch, because you can pitch, like, if one girl is dominant, you just pitch her the whole way. It's really the only thing I don't necessarily like.
I can appreciate it while also agreeing I'm not the biggest fan at times, because it feels like it takes a lot of the strategy out. It's like, well, this girl's just going to pitch, and then she's going to pitch again. Whereas in baseball, it's like, we can drive this guy's pitch count up. He's going to get tired. Let's try and get into the bullpen. And that just doesn't really exist.
And you have the lefty on lefty and righty on righty dynamic.
And that just, it doesn't really exist. Also, I feel kind of bad for the rest of the pitchers on the team, because they're just like, they're just passengers at this point. I don't see anyone else pitching in the finals, in any of the games, unless she just gets rocked, I guess. But even a lot of times in softball, if your best pitcher gets hit a little bit, it doesn't really matter. You're just still running her out there. So, yeah, I don't know. Still, once again, I mean, very impressive. She's got her team to the finals, but I think that's fair to say you're not the hugest fan. We can move into the rotten egg, which I'm trying to remember who the rotten egg is. I guess I'm about to remember. Vandy baseball. That's right, the Vandy boys. Got eliminated from the regional this past weekend against
Wright State.
Thank you, Wright State. Wright State's like the 11th or 12th, fourth seed all time to advance to the Super Regionals. So congrats to them.
Wright State and Murray State.
Yep.
Insane.
But yeah, Vandy becomes the first number 1 overall seed to not make it to the regional finals. So wasn't even the last 2 teams standing in the regional. And then also, bigger picture overall, this is their 4th straight year not making it to the Super Regionals. And for a very storied and elite baseball program, that's not acceptable. So just kind of a bad look all around. Not the best weekend for the SEC as a whole, but especially not for Vandy and Texas, horns down. But yeah, I don't know. I wonder what kind of questions are getting asked over there, if any, because, I mean, Tim Corbin's been there for a hot minute. But I'm sure no one, especially him, is happy with this. So,
I think, having a productive season, being number 1 overall seed, I don't think it's going to be necessarily so much a bunch of questions or anything. Part of it feels like in some cases you just get, like with these regionals, you just get unlucky.
Sure.
Your ace just doesn't pitch well. You just happen to get hit that day. You don't hit well that weekend. Like, that can happen. We've seen that. Like, and A&M got swept by Missouri, and that can happen because a team just plays really hot that weekend. I think we saw that up in Oxford this weekend. Murray State was just really, really hot. I mean, they scored a ton of runs.
Yeah.
So part of it is just, hey, you got unlucky, I guess.
Sure. It is just the 4 years in a row type thing. Makes it a little, you can't keep falling back on the unlucky thing.
I agree. And with their standards,
also,
there's still questions to be asked.
Does add some credence to you really don't want to go far in Hoover, because they won the SEC championship or the SEC tournament, and now they've been sent packing before the Super Regionals.
Yeah.
So maybe it really does just burn through your arms. You need that rest. All right, I saved the best for last. This won't be the best for anyone else but me, but it's near and dear to my heart. So, Women Row Soccer is my winner chicken dinner. This is where I went to high school. I played soccer in high school. But yesterday, they won the regional semifinal game against Culpeper County, 3-1. And so they're advancing to state for the first time ever, because how it works in Virginia is as long as you make the regional finals, you get to go to state. So the top 2 teams in the 4 regions go to state, making it 8 in states. So they'll play for the state finals tomorrow, and then Tuesday state start. But yeah, first time ever. Couldn't ever get it done. The same head coach that I had is still there. So getting to see him celebrate, and just, I don't know, happy for him, happy for the boys. I know some of them still. Did you see the video I sent?
Yeah.
He domes my head coach runs into the locker room after the game as they're celebrating, and picks up the trash can and chucks it and hits the starting keeper in the head. So I really hope the kid's okay to play Thursday. But, I mean, when I tell you he domes him, like, he got him clean on the back of the head with the trash can full of trash.
Wow.
So, electric moment. Yeah, once again, just really happy for them. It's
high school sports is really beautiful because, and this is for me, like, I played 3 years of high school basketball and coached for my senior year. It is so awesome because you are playing with your peers and your friends, and a lot of the time your best friends, and you don't see that in other sports, because once you get to college level, professional level, it's the best of the best playing together from all different parts of the world, and there's really no like emotion, and I really think like that is like the most like team camaraderie you can really see in sports is that, and it is, congratulations to them. It is awesome to see that. I know they like it'll be a moment they'll talk about forever.
correct.
Or a moment they'll think about forever. I have plenty of those moments that I think about back in my high school days of when your coach comes in and he's celebrating. My coach like used to dance.
That's fine.
And it was just like there's no like greater joy to see like your coach proud of you. Interesting response from your head coach throwing.
Yeah, he got a little too excited, I think. It really does, talking about just how beautiful it is. My senior year, we were good, and yeah, I played soccer with all my friends, especially since it was senior year. Second semester, we didn't really have to do a ton school wise, so a lot of ways it felt like we went to school to hang out during the school day, to go to practice after, to get ready for games, to win games because we were good. And I really think, a lot of people dog on high school sports as like, oh, like it's just high school. But I really think that semester or that season of life will be one of my favorites of all time.
Oh, absolutely.
It was pure excitement, pure joy. It was really just so much fun. Talking about disappointing the coach, we did lose in the regional semifinals, so we didn't get to bring him kind of the joy. But I mean,
yeah,
there are a lot of joyful moments throughout the season.
You go through so much as a team.
Correct.
And that's what I love about team sports. You are there through the darkest moments, the moments when like you're just getting your butt kicked during practice, when you have to run the 20 suicides in a row, when in basketball practices, when you're in practice and your boy who can't make free throws is on the line, and if he misses, you're running.
Where you got the dude that can't shut up.
Yep. And then, like, for me, I always had, like, the moments when you're trying to grind and get your spot, so you're giving it your all in practice, and you're competing against your friends. You go through so much, highs and lows, and it's a family.
Yep.
And so moments like that just mean so much more to you.
So much that you pick up a trash can and hit someone in the back of the head with it. And it's also, I happen to be going up to Virginia for family vacation next week. And so
awesome.
Depending on where the state game is played, I may have to go and support, which is just really cool, really fortunate timing.
Yeah.
But yeah, shout out to the boys. Really proud and happy for y'all. And of Coach Vaughn, just because he's put a lot of effort and time into the program. So to finally be the coach that brings women row their first state appearance in boys soccer means a lot to him and to, I think, more people than he probably realizes.
Yeah.
So shout out to him. That's kind of all we have on the docket. That is not what I wanted. Anything else you want to toss out there, talk about?
Tom Thibodeau was fired.
Yes, I completely meant to bring that up.
Expected, or at least I expected, and kind of wanted them to do. I felt like it was the right move to make. It it made sense to me because I felt, and this has already been echoed by people online, media people specifically, but I felt as well, I agree with them, that it really didn't matter how this postseason went. They kind of had in their mind that they were going to fire Tom Thibodeau.
Yep.
I think more than likely they expected, looking at the postseason, we were going to play Boston in the second round. Boston was going to work us. We would be 2-16 against the top 4 teams in the conference. That's not good enough. We have to fire Thibodeau. You look at historic for Tom, it has been capped at the conference finals at best, and way too often has gotten to the postseason. The team wears down. A key guy gets hurt, and the season's over. And they never felt like they were a team that should compete for a title. I think this is one of the first years outside of the Chicago Bulls that were the number 1 overall seed where a Thibodeau team felt like a title contender going into the season and throughout the season and going into the postseason. And still, they, I think, in-house thought, we're just not going to be able to get this done. And I also felt like they weren't going to be able to change his philosophy. They weren't going to just be able to say...
Can't teach an old dog new tricks. So
yeah, especially a guy who's been coaching this long, has been successful with the way he's been coaching as long as he has. You're not going to just tell him, hey, we got to play more guys off the bench. Like, he's just not going to do that. And so I felt like it was the right move to make. It was really the variable that stuck out from a perspective of, like, what is going to keep us from winning a championship. He hasn't done it yet before. And I think they look at the way the Eastern Conference is going to look next year. They should feel like they are the best team in the East because Tatum is out, Giannis is more than likely gone, and you feel like you can beat the Pacers. So realistically, they were 1 game away from the finals. Like, if they don't choke in game 1, we have a game 7 that was played 2 nights ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so I felt like this was the move they have to make. I will be very interested to see where they go with the head coaching perspective. There's 2 names out there, Johnny Bryant, Michael Malone. But I thought it was the right move to make.
Sure. I don't hate the move either. I think I was a little more... I think if you asked us Sunday the odds he stays, you probably would have given... Your odds would have been a lot less split than mine would have been. I probably would have said around, 65-35 or something he gets fired. I am also still interested to see what they do with Cat, if he's someone they move based on kind of the narrative we've still seen. But yeah, I don't hate it at all either. It's just another evidence that this is also a player-driven league. Pretty clear that the Knicks players had kind of checked out on him and didn't think he was the guy. And as soon as that happens, the coach has got to go. Even thinking the Suns just hired Cleveland's assistant coach. I don't know his first name. His last name's Ott.
Mm-hmm.
And it came out like Devin Booker basically was alongside in the search process, and he stamped him as his top guy. And that's part of the reason the Suns hired him. Like, it's such a player-driven league that no matter how good of a coach you are in theory, X's and O's, I think even of Michael Malone, right? There was other stuff going on there, but I think kind of the players decided they didn't want him to be the coach anymore, so he gets fired.
Which is crazy because he was like, right now he's been like one of the most like player coaches we've seen in the NBA. He is just, he adores Jokic and Jamal Murray.
It was funny to see him after, when he was on the media, be like, "This is why Shea won the MVP," or Shea's the MVP, and it was like all season he was like, "Oh no, Jokic is the MVP. Jokic is the MVP." But yeah, I'm not at all surprised they fired him. I've never been the biggest Tom Thibodeau fan. It has been fun to see as the Knicks made their conference finals run, and obviously the further you go in the playoffs, the more and more casual fans are going to tune in. A lot of casual Knicks fans being like, how in the world did we fire this guy? Like, this was the wrong move. Like, he just got us to the conference finals, and they don't understand the context, obviously. But tough for Tom Thibodeau. It is not really, actually, because he just got extended, and so he's going to make $30 million without having to do anything.
Coach somewhere else too.
Money. Where do you think he coaches next?
Do
you think he's off for a year and then gets a job the next cycle, or
it feels like at this point in the cycle he'd have to be off for a year, unless these teams with these young coaches like feel like, oh, well, big name, we can go and actually get him now.
Yeah.
Like if you're thinking about Charlotte or Brooklyn.
Sure.
And even out west, you think of teams like Memphis, who just fired Taylor Jenkins. Like those kinds of teams make sense where they're in a spot where they just moved off a coach. Their head coach has been there for a year or two. I feel like there's no way he goes to a big brand. Like there's no way. For one, a lot of the big brands are full.
That's also just not the coach he is and what we've seen him to prove to be, which
Correct.
is a floor raiser and someone that can kind of get the ship moving in the right direction, but won't ever, get them all the way.
Absolutely. So. And I think for those kinds of teams, that's actually something they would really desire because
correct.
They, at the end of the day, like these are businesses, and we think about the salary cap in professional football and professional basketball. Like that's how much money they're allowed to spend, but that doesn't mean they make enough money to spend that money.
Correct.
And that's why you still see teams with a lot of cap space in some cases.
Sure.
So, like, they want to put butts in the seat, which means they want to have a team that's playoff bound. And teams like Charlotte, teams like Brooklyn feel like they could use something like that. Memphis as well. Like Memphis can fill up that crowd, but the team needs to be good to fill up that crowd. I think for the Knicks, again, it felt like the right move because from an X's and O's perspective or a basketball perspective, that team doesn't feel like it there's just no reason for it to be one guy scores 29, one guy gets just above 20, and the other score like 15. It feels like it should be 4 guys scoring 20 a night.
Yeah. Well, the Mikal Bridges piece just never really panned out. Not that he had a bad season, but for what you expected to get from him, he wasn't there at all.
I never felt like he had the chance to. I think
that's very fair.
Brunson had the ball so much that Mikal Bridges became off the ball, and he essentially just became. I mean, think about not the same, but think about Kevin Love or Chris Bosh.
Yeah,
he was the third option at that point. At that point, when you're the third option, you just become, all right, be good defensively or rebound and shoot threes.
And I can guarantee that's not what they brought him in to do.
He was not that at Brooklyn. He was a extremely productive scorer. He had, I think he was almost at 26 points a game for Brooklyn. And he is that, he showed that flashes in many moments, in many fourth quarters this postseason where, this guy can go score 10 points whenever he wants. So it feels like that the Knicks should play that way, where it is a bunch of guys scoring 20 points a game, because they've all shown that. Brunson can score 30 whenever he wants. Cat, if he is aggressive, can score 30 whenever he wants. And Mikal is a bona fide scorer, and I think we've seen from OG in these past 2 years, that guy can score. Sure. He's not just a defender. And the Knicks, I feel like need to play that way going forward because it's going to help them a ton, especially when you get to the postseason. For this postseason, when Brunson has played bad, they've typically just not been in a good enough spot.
Correct.
In the games Brunson played bad, they need a Cat to just go nuclear. Now when you have 4 guys that can score these 20 points,
share the load.
Someone else can become the threat that night. And I think it would be extremely productive for the Knicks going forward if that's the way they play.
Sure.
So for me, I would hire. I think Michael Malone is the pick because if you fired Tom Thibodeau for the reason of he can't get us to the finals and win the finals, Michael Malone has done that, and he's proven that, and he's very smart and intellectual from an offensive perspective. He's a player's coach. He really loves his players. He speaks fondly of his players all the time. So I would hire him. Johnny Bryant's been linked a ton. I don't feel like the first-year coach is the right way to move when I feel like next year and maybe the season after that is the window, and that's it.
I agree completely.
For making the finals for the Knicks. Post that, who knows? Because at that point, these players have to get re-signed. Brunson would be way more expensive.
Sure.
And these guys are, they're not young like the Thunder by any means. So I think you got to hire a coach that can help you win now So Michael Malone is the answer for me.
I agree. I'd go Michael Malone. I feel like sometimes we see in the NBA where people recycle previous head coaches kind of over and over again because they're scared to hire an up-and-coming assistant. That's not at all the situation. Michael Malone won a title 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
He's the guy I wanted the Spurs to hire when it announced Pop wasn't coming back. Now, I should have known the Spurs weren't going to do that because the Spurs are such a homegrown organization.
Absolutely.
They're like, we were just always going to promote from within. But it just kind of feels like Michael Malone is going to fall in the Knicks' lap. And he's nowhere near being done ready to coach, in my opinion. He honestly probably is a little pissed off he got fired and is ready to prove that he shouldn't have been fired. So I think he's the perfect guy to hire. I think that's a good point. I actually have a question for you.
Sure.
That I briefly forgot about, remembering it now. I was saw a reel or something, and someone was asking, like, who is the GOAT of this NBA team or this NBA franchise? And OKC was the first one they brought up. And I know you were a childhood OKC fan. Still have some loyalty and ties there. Who would your Thunder GOAT be?
For me, I feel like right off the top of my head, it's still Kevin Durant.
Okay.
I think if Westbrook didn't have just like an extreme, not extreme, but just a lack of postseason success post Kevin Durant,
sure,
he would be the answer, the layup answer. But I think Kevin is still it. He obviously led them to the finals. He was unbelievable, especially in the postseason. He has, like, before he even went to Golden State, he has like a 12-minute video of just game winners or clutch shots in the postseason. And yeah, he had been that an entire career. But with OKC, he was that. And I feel like he's still the GOAT of the Thunder. Coming from the Supersonics, playing the 1 year in Seattle, and then coming to OKC with this new franchise and a new location. He was the reason people came to games, was to watch Kevin Durant play. I mean, he had a freaking movie made with him.
Fire movie.
Thunderstruck. Excellent movie.
Seen it multiple times.
So it's Kevin Durant for me.
Cool. That's what the guy said. I was just curious if you would think it was Westbrook or not. Do you think Westbrook is the most beloved Thunder?
Absolutely.
Because I know that's an entirely different conversation, and you got to think with the way Durant left, that soured him to some Thunder fans.
I'll never forget that July 4th because it was just unbelievable.
Yeah.
To leave the team that beat you, that won 73 games, insane. And there really will it's the only thing that, like, kind of compares to the Luka Doncic trade in terms of just, like, utter shock.
That's an all-time move. For sure.
It's just up there in the list, and I don't think clearly not. We saw that in the years post leaving OKC, and yeah, I don't think anyone in OKC or OKC fans will ever get over that. So
Why
I still
should
think
they?
Westbrook will be, because he was so loyal to us, fought for us. When KD came to town, he would chop the bit. Yeah. He'd cook, give it his all. So, yeah, I still think it's Westbrook from a beloved perspective.
Makes sense, which we'll see if Shea is going to make the push for both of those titles.
We'll see.
He's on a good trajectory.
He's on a great trajectory from an accomplishment standpoint, but the pizzazz isn't there, like a lot of people have said. His game is not necessarily awesome to watch like Anthony Edwards is, or Giannis is,
or Russell Westbrook.
Westbrook was.
I think that's fair.
And so I think he's going to just have to do it from an accomplishment standpoint. And a big step in that would be winning the NBA Finals, which he has a great chance to do.
They're favored by a lot.
Yeah.
So 400
most
plus.
Yeah, Vegas has them winning at a 88%.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, the pizzazz thing is fair. Say whatever you want about Russell Westbrook, but I don't think anyone's ever really played basketball with as much heart or emotion as he had. No one's definitely played with more. Some people have played with the same amount, but he just always brought it night in and night out. So, cool.
I mean, he led a team with Alex Abrines, a young Durrani Grant.
They have Andre Roberson on that team.
Andre Roberson, like, he led those teams to the postseason. It was unbelievable.
Yeah. Nobody empty stat padded his triple doubles. Crazy narrative, man.
I completely disagree.
I also disagree. It's just funny.
No, I just felt like he
did what he had to do to win games.
Yeah.
Sure.
Playing with an energy. I mean, he had 4 50-point games that MVP season. He wasn't just stat padding.
No,
he was cooking.
Facts.
For a guy who can't shoot the 3, 4 50-point games like that.
Can't shoot the 3 and is also like 6'2", 6'3".
Yeah, incredible.
So it's nuts. All right, that's all we have. So we can go and wrap this up. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. We'll be back for y'all next Sunday. Post
game 2.
Post game 2, which is pretty hype. I guess I don't know. I expect the Thunder would be up 2-0, but I hope the Pacers shock us. But we'll see y'all then. Peace.
Later.
Do I just hit this?